Should you still cold approach in 2019? And the answer is yes. There was a period of time where I actually was like, man, it's getting just kind of worthless to cold approach. These girls, they're so standoffish and they have all these rebuttals and they want you to chase so hard and stuff like that. But then really when I took a step back and was like, well, let's see some of my successes. Have some of them been, and when I say success, I'm saying like get contact information, establish some general interest, that kind of thing, and connect on Instagram, that kind of thing. That's what I'm saying is success. And then ultimately, obviously, like, that if you have ultimate success, that you're hanging out with the girl and you guys are getting physical, whatever. So, I'm just looking back at it and it's just like, well, about half of my success for the most part comes mainly from cold approach if I really take a step back. But a lot of that you have to understand is like from partial progress that I've made because of Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, and in situations where I was actually out in a situation where maybe I went like a quick meetup or something like that with a girl that I met like on one of those apps or something like that. Maybe things didn't work out, or maybe she had to get home because she had to get up early for work or something like that. And after I was like, oh, okay, see you later, then basically I was out there already, and I'm just like, well, screw it. I'm going to walk up to this girl. I'm going to cold approach this girl. Or I'm in the gym, and it's like, whoa, look at that girl. And I'll just go up to her. Boom. Hey, what's up? My name's Brian. It doesn't take that much. It's like guys don't know what to say. And the intimidating thing about gym is girls have headphones on, and it's just they're really trying to detract. And they'll say, I don't want guys to come up to me. Bullshit. Why do you have yoga pants on and your tits are hanging out and you're trying to work out? Get real. You want guys to look at you. They don't want guys that they're not attracted to walk up to them, but they want an attractive guy, someone who they find to be attractive, to come up to them. It strokes their ego, and they want them. Now, there's a lot of girls that'll come up with the rebuttals. You're always going to get, I have a boyfriend. And a lot of times, think about someone who comes to your, let's say someone comes to your door or something and trying to sell windows, and you're like, no, I'm not interested. Or some telemarketer calls, blah, 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 they're trying to sell something, not interested. It's almost like a knee-jerk reaction, like people don't want to be sold. Girls kind of act the same way. They're initially going to put up that wall like, oh, I have a boyfriend, even if they don't. Or it's just some dude that they've been hanging out with for like 2 weeks, which is nothing. And like I've said in other videos, guys, marriage is a new boyfriend-girlfriend. Some guys, some white knights, some SJW, social justice warriors, will get upset. Oh, why would you, if she has a boyfriend, you need to back off. Well, marriage is a new boyfriend-girlfriend. And a lot of the marriages are lasting a year or two, for one. So if she says she's married, she has a ring, all that stuff like that, it's like, oh, okay. Like, just thought you looked good, take it as a compliment. And be like, thank you. And then that's it. If she's married, whatever. It's just too many barriers to try to knock down. Yes, you can score if there's a goalie, in hockey or soccer, but, it's kind of like, I want to avoid getting shot with a shotgun. And it's just like, okay, they're committed, whatever. They're legally bound by the state, so anyway, I say but if a girl says she has a boyfriend, either she's lying, it's not that serious, or if it is longer term and they are heading towards marriage or something like that, then you can kind of gauge that and you can be like, oh, okay, this is too much. Not trying to be a homewrecker here. So if a girl says that she has a boyfriend, when you cold approach, what I typically say is, I kind of act like kind of shocked, which kind of throws them off a little bit because they're like, why is he acting shocked? I'll be like, oh, really? Like, how long you guys been together? Like, I'm like super interested in it. And then she's like, well, and she like breaks eye contact, like, well, we've been hanging out for like 2 weeks. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you guys just hanging out? Or are you guys actually girlfriend, boyfriend? And, she's like, well, it's, and then if she's like, well, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, let's just say she says that, and be like, well, I don't see a ring on your finger, so it must not be that serious. And then, you just pierce her with your eyes. Boom, don't break eye contact, and just kind of smile. And then she's probably going to laugh. I mean, she might, if she's just like, if she's not having it at all and she's real mad or something, then, pretty much, you're probably pretty much finished. It's going to be hard to like keep working rebuttals out of that. But if she kind of like laughs and stuff, be like, or are you on Instagram? And just pull out your phone and then just like, pull up Instagram and have her like put in her Instagram name and connect to her on Instagram. If she goes that far, but if she shuts you down there, you'd be like, why not? Like, is this guy like, is he something special? I mean, like you just kind of like ask about the situation, like, hey, what's going on? Like, I don't know. If you don't have a ring on, it's not that serious. You just kind of go at it. But a lot of times, if they do say that, and that is one of the great things about the apps, and that's why I kind of went away from doing cold approach so much or thinking about cold approach as much for a little bit, just because I was like, well, if you're on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, that really kind of takes away from the BS. This girl's evidently single, or at least she's purporting to be, and she's looking, so that takes those out of the equation. And then if you match, well, she has a general interest. She thinks you're attractive. She thinks you must be interesting. So you get a lot of the BS out of the way with the apps, but in the same respect, it ends up being kind of a double-edged sword. You have to understand that a lot of these top-notch girls, we're talking upper echelon. You can say 8, 9s, 10s, whatever. But a lot of these upper echelon girls are usually not single for very long for multiple reasons. A, they're going to be the most approached. They're going to be the most, hit up on Instagram. They're going to be the most kind of sought after on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge kind of thing. So they have lots and lots and lots of options, especially if they're in these age ranges. Let's say 21 to 25. They're going to have a lot of options from 2 decades at least worth of guys, probably 3 decades worth of guys, and everybody. I mean, if you're a guy, if there's a chick that's like, and let's just say she's an 8 out of 10, if you're a guy and I'm very conservative on the rating, so let's just say that. If she's an 8 out of 10, if a guy doesn't think she's attractive, she's like way outside of like the type of girl he's into somehow, some way, whether it's a race-related thing or it's like a, I don't know. I mean, some of these guys are into kind of these scrawny little Skeletor girls, which I'm not into that. But whatever the preference is. But for the most part, everybody's going to think like what I think is an 8. Other guys are going to be like, yeah, that's a hot girl. Nobody's going to be like, oh no, she's a 5. No, like my rating scale is like pretty conservative. Like if she's an 8, she's pretty hot. So as far as cold approach from different angles, I think that you should be working all game. You should be cold approaching. You should be on Instagram and Snapchat for secondary communication. See, here's the thing. I don't get girls' numbers. I get their Instagram or their Snapchat. And the reason for this is because if you get their number, a lot of times the problem with it is it ends up being this like, hey, look at me, I'm so cool. Look at when I went to Australia. Hey, look at this picture. Look when I dunked a basketball. It's like it's too, like you're pushing too much to them. And whereas like on Instagram or Snapchat, you're pushing it to everybody. You're pushing it to the world, and then you can see if they're looking or if they're liking. So, you're actually using a shotgun approach when you're adding these girls. And then I'll put up a story and I'll see 20, 25 girls are watching my story every time. If they're watching your story every time, they're interested. If they weren't interested, they wouldn't be watching your story. If they weren't interested, they wouldn't be talking to you. So, you don't need to constantly ask for affirmation. You know from these kind of cues. Whereas with text, it's a little bit harder, and it's just like, well, she's kind of like getting back slow, and I feel like I'm having to try to like carry this too much. Whereas, let's say if you even got Instagram information from some girl, and then like 2 weeks go by, and then you keep seeing, hey, she's watching my stories. Oh, she liked this post. She's interested. And you didn't have to move as fast per se. Usually, like after I get someone's contact information, I want to try to like hang out with them in the next day or two, ideally. And if she starts making up excuses, depending on the excuse, if it's a legitimate excuse, then it's like, okay, she gets a pass. She makes an excuse a second time, next, unfollow her, done. And a lot of, social justice warriors and white knights will say, like, oh, you're not giving these girls a chance, or this is just ridiculous, or just burning through these girls and stuff like that. Hey, if they want to play a little teeny bopper tease games, if they think I'm going to chase or something like that, then they're going to find out, hey, an alpha male is not going to chase that hard. They can maybe settle down with like a beta male or something that's going to be like, the kind of guy that's going to be handing out roses at the strip club on Valentine's Day or something, but they're not going to get like a true alpha male who's not going to put up with the BS. So at the end of the day, it's just like, they need to meet me in the middle. I'm not necessarily saying that they need to chase me per se. Yes, a little bit of that's going to happen. There's going to be a pull push, but you need to meet me in the middle, if something's going to happen. Don't make endless excuses, or I'm just going to say, hey, this girl's excuse city. She's a teeny bopper tease. Next. And who are going to be the worst at this? It's going to be these girls who are maybe still in college that actually have the biggest population after them. A girl that's 20 years old, 21, 22, 23, that's hot. If she's not hot, hey, I'm not going after her. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. And I think that you guys should, over time, you should kind of pare down like what you're going after. There's no, let's say you hook up with some, 5.8 out of 10. And then it's instant regret and stuff like that. There's just no point of it. You spent money on some date or something, and then what? You got with like a 5.8. It's like, over time, it's just like, hey, it's just not worth it. You should really kind of like, especially as you get older, you'll start becoming more selective. It's just like, okay, like, you're only going to go after upper echelon girls. And that's what I kind of teach guys to do over time, is to kind of pare down what you're going for. But long story short on this whole thing, should you still cold approach guys? And what's going to be your conversion rate of even getting contact information? It could be as low as 40 or 50% conversion. Guys, I get rejected all the time. Be like, oh, Brian, you don't know what you're talking about then if you get rejected. There's this PUA guy that says that his conversion rate's 85 or 90%. I mean, he may be lying. I'm being straight up with you guys. I get rejected all the time. It's probably around 50%. Girls are going to say, oh, they have a boyfriend. You're going to go through the rebuttal, and it's not going to work out. Girls have become very, very standoffish, become very excuse city. They think guys are going to chase and chase and chase and chase, and then they're going to find out, and they're not going to realize it until they're 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. The alpha male is not going to chase that much. They're just going to next you, So girls can excuse city their fertility out the window. They can excuse city themselves out of like legitimate males. They have a very hard time qualifying legitimate males in places like the United States, especially in the Midwest. Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. These girls have an extremely hard time qualifying legitimate guys. Now, if you're in a bigger city population, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Dallas, Fort Worth, Los Angeles, Phoenix, stuff like that, they know there's more competition out there. You're able to kind of cast a larger net, and it's easier to have more success there. Whereas some of these places, excuse city, I mean, I'll tell you this, girls in the Midwest think they're way hotter than they are. And I know some of you guys know that, and you can leave a comment below if you agree, and please leave a like about that. But the reason is because so many people get out of shape, and so if a girl is literally like a 7 out of 10, like a California 7 out of 10, she thinks she's a 10 in a place like Ohio or Indiana. And it's not until she goes down to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, goes to Dallas, Fort Worth, goes to Seattle potentially, goes out to California, Southern California, San Diego, LA, that they're like, they suddenly maybe sober up a little bit, like, ooh, I'm not all that here. Like, there's 20 hot girls, there's 30 hot girls, there's 50 hot girls, everybody's hot here, everybody's in shape. And then they're like, shoot, even the chicks who are in their 30s are hot here. They stayed in shape. Whereas like in the Midwest, a lot of times you very rarely see a woman who's in her 30s, mid-30s, who stayed in shape and is still hot. A lot of times I had 4 kids by freaking 3 different dads, and and who knows? They just did not maintain an active lifestyle. So, long story short, a lot of people do not understand how many exposures you have to have success in this deregulated marketplace these days. It is insane. You need to be cold approaching. You need to be trying to hit girls up on Instagram. You need to be on Bumble, Tinder, Hinge if you think you're going to net anything. Whether that's that you're wanting to just kind of hang out with chicks or you're trying to look for a long-term relationship, you have to cast a large net. That's just a simple facts, guys. And then after that, you got to keep gold digger testing them. You got to vet them over years. You got to keep gold digger testing them. So anyway, guys, if you like the video, what's been your success rate on cold approach? Please leave a like and leave a comment below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. See you guys later.